welcome to another photographic moment. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and believe it or not, it's January, but it's so nice out today. I thought it'd be a good opportunity to come out and talk a little bit about photographing one of my favorite subjects, and that's the moon. And I love to feature the moon in a lot of my landscapes, especially right around sunset time, which is about right now. The sun is just setting, right now, just directly across as I'm looking toward the camera. And then on the opposite end, and there's just a little bit of cloud cover, which is kind of a bummer, but I think that cloud cover will break a little bit as the moon gets higher. It's the January full moon just coming up. So what I'm going to do is I've set up this shot out here along this marsh tideland. This is one of my favorite places to photograph here in Hilton Head, South Carolina. And what I like about this is it's got a lot of really neat, interesting foreground elements as far as the water. So right now the tide is coming in, so I'm getting really nice, a really beautiful reflection of this really incredible color that's in the sky. It reflects directly into the water, and in between I've got this marsh grass that has this unique kind of shade of green to it, so it's makes for a really beautiful landscape image. Now with the moon coming up, what I like to do is photograph it first with a very large telephoto lens, and then do my wider landscape with more like a 70 to 200. And then I cheat a little bit. I work in layers, and I'll put the moon over exactly. I never put it where it isn't. I just shoot it a little bit larger, then I put it using layers over where it actually is, but in a larger version, so to say, because the moon never photographs as big as we see it. It's just the way it is. And a big important tip to remember is try to shoot the moon just as it's coming over the horizon. That's when it's going to be at its largest. The further in the night, the higher it goes in the sky, the smaller it becomes. And it's much more interesting to work with it as a part of the landscape rather than by itself. So what I'm doing is I'm shooting the moon itself with this very large 500 millimeter, and I actually got a 1.4 teleconverter on that, so it's about 640 millimeter lens. So I'm going to photograph the moon. I'm shooting at a relatively fast exposure. Say the ISO that I like to play around with is more like a 400 to 800 range. In exposing the moon, especially later in the night, the darker it gets, the brighter it becomes. It's a very tough exposure to maintain because it's extremely bright, especially a full moon. So that's another reason why I like photographing now at sunset. It's a little bit of a light that's easier to manage, to handle. The general rule is, they call it the lunar 11. You basically take your film speed setting, equate that into a shutter speed setting. Say you got ISO at 100, so you want a shutter speed like 1/25 of a second, and then f11. That's a good place to start from, but it's not always going to be exact and give you a solid exposure of the moon where you're going to retain detail, such as in the craters and things like that in the dark areas. So I like to do is kind of start with that and then do bracketing, overexpose a little bit, underexpose a little bit. That's the beauty of digital. You have much more flexibility in doing that than just a one roll of film, so it's good. So what I'm going to do is it really is, the light is just going incredible right now. I don't know if you can really tell from the video, but I'm going to wrap this up and get to shooting the moon. Another thing that I like to do also as the moon gets very bright is when I'm going in close to the big telephoto lens, I switch my metering mode from evaluative metering, which I like to do with all my landscapes, to spot metering. Anytime where you're metering a very bright subject against a dark background, but you want to retain detail in that bright subject, it's always a good idea to try that spot metering mode. So you're just metering right where you want to get the detail. Okay, so you want to but then you got to remember when you go to the wider shot for your landscape to go back to the evaluative metering mode. So little tip, I'm shooting in raw file format because I'll be working in these in Photoshop as far as working with the layers and moving the layers, and I would like to have as much detail to work with as possible, so that's why I shoot in raw. So what I'm going to do is get the photographing. It's looking really good right now. So I'm going to get these shots and I'm going to show them at the end of this video, and it's January moon, the full moon of January. The Native American name of that is called the wolf moon, and it was maybe a couple years ago I was photographing the full moon of January up in Ohio, and I was doing it from my front doorstep because it was very cold, so it's quite a contrast to do it now down here. And so, but it's just beautiful, and I'm really fortunate to be able to be out here and doing this. I just want to share this beautiful light with you. So thank you for this photographic moment, and look for this image at the end of the video. Thank you.